Well, it appears the stage is set. It just might be a big weekend. It depends on how you see it, really. But yeah, as you've seen there, Mr. Gbenga Motosho joins us now. He's the Commissioner for Information in Lagos. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today on the program. Well, we've heard the Minister of Information speak about the planned protest. So tell us, what is the position of Lagos State government on this?
Well, thank you for having me on this program and providing a platform for us to hear our views on the planned protest. The position of the Lagos State government is that we want peace. We don't want anything that is going to bring us the kind of calamity that we saw in October last year, the kind of destruction that we saw in Lagos. It's not the kind of thing we pray for now. We are trying to rebuild the minds of Lagosians, the people who loved one another before, who were doing everything together, who had the kind of camaraderie that the whole world was seeing. And all of a sudden, some people just came and destroyed this cord of unity among the Lagosians. We don't want to bring that back again. The kind of commotion that we saw, the kind of destruction that we saw on a scale beyond belief, on an imaginable scale. We do not want to see that kind of destruction again, loss of lives and all of that. So if people are saying they want to protest, Lagos State government is saying that they don't have to do that, because there is no basis for it, and there is nobody who prays that the recovery we are seeing now should be reversed. So the position of the state government is that there should be no protest.
Okay, so just to be clear, because there's a lot, I mean, taking a look at the front pages of the dailies this morning, you see different angles to the position of the state government. So are you saying that, well, you can protest, but maybe you shouldn't, or do not protest?
Well, what we are saying as a state government is that you can see there are two forces arrayed against each other now. Those who are saying that we want to protest because of what has happened at the panel on NSAS, and another who are saying that, we want to protest to defend Lagos because we do not want to see the kind of carnage we saw in October last year. So when these two forces are arranged against each other, you can see that there is eventually going to be a collision, and the collision could be bloody. The collision could be destructive to Lagos. The collision could bring us back to where we were in October last year, and we do not want that. So Lagos State government is saying that there is no need to test the resolve of the government to protect law-abiding Lagosians. There is no need for you to protest on the basis of what has not happened. I mean, if you are talking about what has happened at the panel, I do not see how that has become a basis to spark a protest. Another protest that may be hijacked and then turn bloody to everybody. Nobody knows how violence can end. So the position of the government is that there should be no protest. Let there be peace.
Okay, so I mean, judging from some of the tweets that have been put out on social media regarding this protest, they are saying that, well, seeing the progression at the judicial panel, the fact that the property, the Lekki Toll Plaza, has been handed over back to LCC for repossession, and they feel that, well, this process has not been concluded with. Why do that? For them, that is the basis, or part of the basis for the protest. And looking at some of the pronouncements, you've said that there will be a counter-protest and you don't want a breakdown of law and order. Isn't that a responsibility of the security agencies to say, well, we'll be on ground to ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order? Because you say that you want to ensure that those who are abiding by the law, and don't forget the Attorney General says that, well, you have a constitutional right to protest. So shouldn't this be the security agencies saying, well, we'll be on ground that day to ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order, just so you can engage in your constitutional right?
Well, the Commissioner of Police spoke yesterday and did say that, yeah, people have a right to protest, but the police will be there to ensure that there is no destruction of lives and property, and that indeed there is no basis for a protest. So why call for a protest at all? So the security agencies, I am sure, they are going to do their job. But talking about what happened at LCC, what happened at the panel, I do not think that should form a basis for any protest at all. Just look at this analogy. There's a fight in a house, and then the police are called in. And the police come in, and they see that so much destruction in this house. People have broken bottles, daggers have been drawn, and then the police shuts down the house. And they say, let us look into what has happened in this house. And then they send in experts to go and look at it. Were cutlasses used in the fight? Were bottles actually broken? Were heads broken? Were limbs broken? And then the panel that has gone in there, experts that the police sent in, they have now come back to say, we have gone into the house to see what has happened. Here is our report. And the panel now says, okay, the police now say, Mr. Landlord, you can now go back to your house to assess your loss, to look at everything that has happened in your house. We have our report and we make our pronouncement. And then the landlord says, well, I want to go back to my house. Are you saying that he has no right to go back to his house and that his house must be shut down forever and ever? I mean, that is not done, because the landlord too has a right, because he has workers. Over 500 Nigerians are working in that company. Since last year, they have not received any salary. But that is for the company to be saying. They said that. But that's the right of every Nigerian has to be protected. These are people who are working in the house. Say, for example, if the landlord now says he wants to go back to his house, what has happened to his gardeners? What has happened to his chef? What has happened to the cleaners? All of these people, too, they have a right to live in. So we do not see anyhow where SEC is also a victim of the violence that we are talking about. That SEC too has no right to seek restitution, so and that the panel has no right to reverse things.
Does this lend credence to the fact that, yes, Lagos State government wanted the LCC to get back to work? So those who suggest that, well, they might have influenced the voting, do they have a point when they say that? Because you say the Lagos wanted that to be reopened.
No, it's just an analogy that you must not get wrong. I am just, likening that toll gate to a house belonging to SEC. If you say something happened there, I do not even see that place as a scene of crime. Because as I speak with you now, thousands of vehicles are passing through that toll gate. So there is no need for anybody to say the toll gate should forever become a place that nobody will go to. If people have a right to drive through the toll gate, the owners of the toll gate, they have a right to even go and look at it, look at what has been destroyed there, look at what has gone wrong, and see how they can reverse things and get things working again. So all of those people suggesting that, I've not even heard that, and somebody is suggesting that maybe Lagos State influenced that. Well, what I know and what the world knows is that panel is a panel of people of integrity. And the disagreement within the panel, I'm sure, has shown that the panel is made up of people of integrity and people who can think of their own. They are not Nigerians who can manipulate.
Okay. Well, Honorable Commissioner, perhaps the issue here is that of the messaging, because we had a conversation with a young Nigerian earlier in the week about this same matter, and he mentioned something about the emotions of people. To you, it may be no crime scene, but when people remember 2010-20, the emotions attached are still quite strong. And question then would be, how has the state government, even before the pronouncement of the panel, attempted to assuage those tempers, the emotional connection that people have to those things? Because up until now, the word is out there whether or not people believe government when government says there were no killings. As far as people are concerned, security agencies opened fire on them, and for them, that, is a very touchy one. And consequently, when you just, make a pronouncement and just go and open the toll gate, so to speak, it will be like, you're not even sensitive to the people who you govern. How do you respond to those?
First, let me just correct the misconception that the toll gate is being reopened. The toll gate has never been shut down. Like I said, as we speak now, there are thousands of vehicles passing through that place. So it's not been treated as a crime scene. If it has been treated as a crime scene, the place will have been cordoned off. No vehicle will be passing through the place. So the pronouncement of the panel that the owners of the toll gate should go back there and see the destruction. And maybe they will need to talk to their insurers. Maybe they will need to reassure their workers that it is not all over for them and that they are resolved that someday they will return. It's a kind of thing that I would not like to talk about what is going on in the panel. I would not like to go and talk about that because whatever anybody says about that may influence whatever the outcome of the panel is. It can be contemptuous of the panel. It can be, against whatever should be done. It's against the norm that whenever a panel is set up, you now begin to talk about what is going on there and what is likely to be the outcome of it. I will not want to go into the details of whether people died or not. But all I know is that even as a journalist, if the Nigerian army goes anywhere to kill on the orders of the commander-in-chief, they do not need to lie about it. They went to Sakibiam, they didn't lie about it. They went to Odi, they didn't lie about it. When they went to Tompulo's village and killed even chickens, they didn't lie about it. And what they have said at the panel, and it is left for the panel to now pronounce that, yeah, people died, and Lagos State government has done what should be done. The first to set up a panel to look into all these matters, and the first to just say, okay, when we need to pay compensation, the money is there. The Lagos State government announced that it's putting down money that anybody that needs to be compensated, anybody who has anything against SARS, anybody who has anything, whether before or after the events of October 20 last year, come to the panel and do everything. So I do not see why people should see it as an emotional matter. I do not see why people should think that because of what has happened, we have to now destroy our unity. We have to now destroy the cord that has brought all of us together. I do not see why people will not say we do not have a future because of this past that has happened. So I think that it's time for us to ensure that all of us are coming together again, rebuilding our minds and bringing this matter to a closure.
Okay. Well, one of the questions a number of people would also want to ask you, Honorable Commissioner, is why the haste? The panel is still sitting. I mean, this question was posed to you earlier, but perhaps a bit of an emphasis might be better here. The panel is still sitting. The panel, was set up because of the events that crystallized at this same Lekki toll gate. And the sittings are not done with. Investigations are still ongoing with the panel still taking testimonies and stuff like that about people, from various people. So question a number of people are asking is, while the panel is still sitting, why the haste to return the toll gates to the owners to get back to business as usual?
Don't forget that the panel is a panel of restitution. The panel has been sitting since last year, and the panel has made pronouncements about so many matters that have happened there that it has listened to. And this is just one of them. And if the panel is saying that investigation has been done and that it has the report of that investigation and that in making its pronouncement eventually is going to talk about this. But anybody who feels hurt, don't forget that company, I'm not here to speak for that company, LCC, but that LCC too has a right as a citizen of Nigeria, as a corporate entity that is law-abiding. It has a right to even go and look at what has happened to his property in that place. And then we bring in emotion and we bring in sentiment, and then if we do all of that, we are not going to have a closure of this matter. There is no way that this matter can be with us forever and ever. It has to have a closure. Okay. And besides, if anybody says that LCC does not have the right to go back to that place, you can say so at the panel. It doesn't mean that if it is not your way, it has to be the highway. No, we do not want to go back to the highway the way we did last October, because nobody could do anything. People were dying because Lekki toll gate was shut down. People taking their relatives to the hospital, they couldn't get to the hospital. They died in cars. And so many other things. There were accidents. So everybody is just talking about emotion.
Well, one other thing here about this, I'm pretty sure a number of other issues are going to arise, but then at the point of making that pronouncement, one of the things that a good number of people are referencing is that the youth representatives on that panel were not there. And that in itself, to many people who have those sentiments that we talked about earlier, are flagging it. What do you have to say to them?
I'm not a lawyer, and I am not a member of the panel. But what I have read in the newspapers is that the panel met and decided that this is what we are going to say. And the youth representatives, as you have said, they disagreed. I would have thought that even when you disagree, it doesn't mean that you have to divide the panel openly the way you did. I do not think so, but I am just an observer like every other Nigerian. So I feel that the youth have shown that they didn't like that decision. That is within their right to show that disagreement. But I think that it's also part of democracy, part of freedom of speech. You have a right to say that you disagree with what the panel has said. But I think there was voting. The panel, the people who said, okay, LCC can go and return to the toll gate, they are more than the people who said, no, they shouldn't return. So the panel's decision remains the panel's decision because the panel is legally constituted and it has the authority to make pronouncements about matters brought before it. So I feel that, as they say, majority carries the day. And that's what exactly happened there.
Right. Well, I think it's rather curious to me personally, and when you ask the protesters to wait until the panel is done with before they can now say, well, we agree or disagree. When an order has been given even while the panel has not been concluded or the investigations have not been concluded for the repossession of that property. So it's kind of tricky for a lot of people, pulling all that together. Why ask us to wait when you didn't ask the repossession to wait? But, also, I realize that over the course of government saying don't embark on this protest, you've always referred to what happened last year with the NSAS protest. And the question I would like to ask is, has there been any investigation pointing to the NSAS protesters as responsible for the violence that ensued, the aftermath, the looting and all that? Has any investigation pointed to them as being the sole, the ones that instigated or even carried out these violence? Because if you're saying that we don't want a repeat of what happened last year, then you're saying that they carried out that violence. So has that investigation pointed to them as a cause of the violence we saw last year?
Nobody has said that NSAS protesters carried out the violence. Nobody has said so. We have not said so. NSAS protesters, including our young people, they did well. And you will recall that the governor, Mr. Baide Sanwo-Olu, supported them by marching with them, by addressing them twice. He carried placards, and all of the complaints of these young people, he took to Abuja. He promised them that in less than 24 hours, he was going to see the president. And in fact, he saw the president and tabled their demands. And if you can recall, immediately all of the things that they could do out of the 5 demands, they did, including release of all the people who were arrested, including setting up a panel. Everything that they wanted, the government did. The government of Lagos State did at that time. So if anybody is saying that, well, because the investigation is still going on and that they have not finished investigation on, it is the work of the security people to determine what actually happened, whether these people were involved or not. But I have seen, for example, videos of people carrying guns and calling themselves protesters too. And I feel that these are not, in my own view, genuine protesters. These are not our young men. But don't forget that some of the people who have done things that sparked that violence, that they do not even stay in Nigeria. They are overseas and they are using the social media to instigate our young people to go and create another platform that can be hijacked for people to go and repeat all the killings that we saw in Lagos, that we saw in Ajah, that we saw in Badore, that we saw all the police stations that were burnt, policemen that were lynched. So it's not all about Lekki Toll Gate. It's not all about Lekki Toll Gate.
Right. Let me just ask you, yesterday there was this scenario at Obalinde, and then the images showed the policemen were there, and then, appear not to be doing anything to ensure that they break up or prevent that from escalating. But today we've seen that the dailies, the police are already saying, look, we will, for some of the words the dailies quoted them, is that no protest will hold at Lekki tomorrow, Lagos CP vows. And then they even quoted Lagos saying they are warning against, that the agents, security agents are ready for any eventuality. So is there any directive from the state governor or state government to the police to ensure that no protest holds tomorrow?
Well, as you know, the police are not under the state governor. The police, they report to the IG. And if you and I can recall what happened in Lagos last October, we will not wish that we will have a protest that can spark another calamity for Lagos, that can spark another round of destruction, the kind of destruction that we saw on a scale beyond comprehension.
Okay.
So nobody is praying for that again. So Lagos State government is calling for peace, and at the same time,
so there's no such directive from the government?
This directive from the governor is that there should be peace, there should be no protest. Because we believe that if there is a protest, it can again be hijacked.
Yeah, but what is wrong with the police saying, listen, anyone coming up peacefully to protest, well, yes, but anyone coming up to either try to hijack or make it violent, we will arrest you?
But I'm not here to talk about the police. I know that the police, they know their job, they know what they can do, they know how to do it. If there is any protest that is violent, the police know what to do. If they say they don't want any protest, they may have seen what you and I are not seeing.
So anyone that goes out there peacefully cannot be arrested, of course?
I do not know whether anybody, the NSAS protest started as a peaceful rally, as a peaceful march. And like I said, the governor himself marched with them. But we have all seen how that protest was hijacked. We have all seen how that protest became a platform for destruction.
Yeah, but there were people who hijacked it. So isn't the law enforcement agency supposed to go after those who hijacked it?
Of course, the law enforcement agencies will go after them.
So they can't,
and I'm sure they must have gone after them. But it is not everything that they are doing, from the little experience that I have, even as a journalist, that you will know.
Yeah, but the challenge now is this might be a dangerous precedent. Tomorrow, we don't know which government will be in power 5, 10, 20 years' time. They'll say, well, look, nobody should come out and protest because it will be hijacked. How do we even know that they will be hijacked? Anybody can say anything and then, hide under that and then prevent anybody from going out, because you also said that, yes, they have a right to protest peacefully.
Don't forget the foundation of all of this. There are two groups. One saying they are going to protest because LCC has been asked to return to Lekki Toll Gate. Another is saying that they are going to protest and defend Lagos. And that the kind of carnage that happened in Lagos last October must not be allowed to repeat itself again.
But
so if these two groups are ranged against each other, I think it is necessary for the government to come in and say, hey, we are not going to be an umpire over this kind of thing that can lead to bloodshed. And that is what the government is saying.
We both know that, look, we've seen it in other climes. Two groups are protesting. The police is in the middle. If anyone tries anything, they arrest anybody and they allow people to protest. We've seen this. It's not the first that will happen in the world. But just finally, ever since the toll, they've not started collecting the toll, traffic has been flowing. So when the toll comes back, what's the government going to do to ensure that they maintain that free flow of traffic and not see a huge tailback?
Well, everybody is talking about LCC being asked to return to the toll gate. It's not as if they will go there and begin to start collecting toll tomorrow. I do not think so. The kind of destruction that has happened in that area is going to take so much time to repair. But that is not even the question. To answer your question, before this crisis, traffic wasn't that bad in that area because we had embarked on what we call junction improvement projects. The first roundabout and the second roundabout, they've been locked down and expanded to take more vehicles. So on that corridor, traffic has been flowing better than it used to.
Well, we'll hope that all of this will be sorted and that tomorrow that everything goes well. But thank you for your perspective this morning, Mr. Gbenga Motosho, Commissioner for Information in Lagos.
Thank you.